everybody, and welcome to Right Here, Right Now, live Buffalo football talk presented by Forefathers Organics. I'm your host, Alex Brasky, here for the Batavia Daily News and Livingston County News. Each week, we'll discuss Buffalo's favorite football team, along with all the comings and goings from Orchard Park, thanks to our friends at Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, before we get to our topics, obviously the Josh Allen MVP discussion. Is Ryan Clark okay? We might need a welfare check on the ESPN talking head. Also, will the Bills rest their starters in Week 18? We'll break down the Bills' win over the Jets, but a little update for everybody. AJ will be leaving the Batavia Daily and Livingston County News in a few weeks to head back to school to study childhood education. So we will be making a transition with the podcast over the last few weeks of the season. AJ has been a great addition to the Batavia Daily News, and it will be sad to see him go. But as is the case in this business, the show must go on. So I am here to take you through tonight's action between the Bills and the Jets, a 40-14 win for the Bills here this evening. Entered the half ahead only 12-0, but really put the blitz on in the second half and ran away with this one. Two meaningless touchdowns at the end of the game for the Jets, both thrown by Tyrod Taylor. Wound up to be the final margin at 40-14, but it was 40-0. The Bills completely blew the doors off the Jets in this one, and both Jets touchdowns came after both backup quarterbacks entered the game. We mentioned Tyrod Taylor. At the 11:50 mark of the fourth quarter, Mitch Trubisky replaced Josh Allen, and on his first pass, delivered a 69-yard screen pass touchdown to Tyrell Shaver. So really everything went right for the Bills as the game progressed. Absorbed a little bit of a slow start, but like I said, as the game wore on, the Bills really found themselves. And Josh Allen, after a slow start, put forth another, maybe not as impressive of an MVP level effort as we've seen from him throughout this season, but 3 touchdowns, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground. Another solid performance here from Josh Allen, who added to his MVP resume the 2 touchdown passes, both of the highlight reel variety, 1 to Amari Cooper, 1 to Keon Coleman. He also finished the drive from the 1-yard line with his 12th rushing touchdown of the season. Allen has just been incredible this year. I put it out in a tweet earlier this season. I think what we're watching from Josh Allen this season, and no disrespect to Lamar Jackson and his former MVP seasons and what he's accomplishing this year, but I think what we're seeing from Josh Allen this year is the best season by a dual threat quarterback that perhaps we will ever see in this league. Just what he's done, 12 rushing touchdowns, now 28 passing touchdowns to total 41 on the season, because you have to add that receiving touchdown that he had a few weeks ago. Allen is now the first player ever with 40-plus touchdowns in 5 consecutive seasons. And he also tied Thurman Thomas today for the most rushing touchdowns for a career in Bills history with 65. So Allen just continuously setting records, tying records, setting the standard week after week. And I think that it's only a matter of time before he's awarded MVP. He's been unbelievable all year, and that's without a true number 1 receiver. I asked Coach McDermott after the game, the old adage, I think it was the A-team that brought it up. You love it when a plan comes together. And the Bills' plan this season was everybody eats. You lose your former number 1 wide receiver. You bring in a bunch of new faces. You needed some guys to step to the forefront, but really it was going to be a group by committee this year, and that's exactly what it's turned out to be. The plan has come together for the Bills. They've tied an NFL record, 13 different players catching touchdown passes this season. Just the embodiment of the team's everybody eats mentality that they set out with at the outset of this season. And like I said, it's just the old adage, you love it when a plan comes together. And that plan has really come together seamlessly for the Bills this season. And you have to give Josh Allen a lot of credit. You have to give the coaching staff a lot of credit. But let's start with Josh Allen. The debate will continue to rage. Is Josh Allen the MVP, or is it Lamar Jackson? Even Joe Burrow has entered the conversation in recent days. And a recent interaction that I had with Ryan Clark on Twitter, Clark has seemingly played every side of the coin, and I know there's typically only two sides to every coin, but it seems like Clark is finding new sides to the coin each and every week, just trying to cover all of his bases so at the end of the season he can prove to be right. And my interaction with him earlier today was he retweeted something that Tony Romo said during the broadcast, how Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are tied in his eyes in terms of the MVP race. And Ryan Clark quote tweeted it saying, "This is what I've been saying." And I simply said, that is literally not what you have been saying. He has been pounding the drum for Lamar Jackson to win this award all season long, discounting, maybe not discounting, but certainly placing Josh Allen's season below that of Lamar Jackson. And for him to put out that tweet after the game today and the subsequent reaction after my response to him just shows how delusional some of these talking heads can be. Allen has been unbelievable. Like I said, the dual threat ability, and it's not just the stats that you have to look at with Josh Allen this season. Look at the record-setting performances he's putting forth. Look at the unbelievable hallmark moments that he's recorded this year. The most exciting, obviously, that pass/receiving touchdown in the same play from Amari Cooper on the lateral. You have to take everything into account. You can't just look at stats. You can't just look at Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. You have to look at the moments that these two have put together this season on both sides of their respective teams. And for me, and for my money, Josh Allen has put forth far more of those hallmark moments. And the stats being so close as they are, I think the edge clearly goes to Josh Allen in this situation. But Clark just continues, like I said, he continues to insert himself into every argument on social media, and the guy is becoming more and more unbearable every single week, just searching for those arguments on Twitter. I believe he's searching his name in the search bar on Twitter as well, just really trying to start a fire underneath the Ryan Clark brand. And coming from an average NFL player such as he was, I really don't blame him. Who's going to care what Ryan Clark has to say unless he goes completely over the top and acts the way that he has been on Twitter? But I digress. We won't spend this entire episode discussing Ryan Clark. I think he puts himself out there enough. And if you want to hear about Ryan Clark, it's really, really tough to avoid, even if you don't want to. So I believe if you want some Ryan Clark content, it'll be out there for you to find. You really, really can't get away from it. But in my mind, and in every player and coach in the Bills locker room's mind, which, albeit they are of biased mentality, but they all are steadfast. Josh Allen is the MVP. And the one player's opinion who I put the most credence in, or give the most credence to, I should say, is Von Miller. Von Miller has played with Peyton Manning, a 5-time MVP. He's played with Matthew Stafford, a future Hall of Famer and a former Super Bowl winning quarterback. Von Miller said what Josh Allen is doing this year is just different. It's unlike anything he's ever seen. He can't make a comparison to it. And when and he did make a comparison, but when you're thinking about Peyton Manning and Josh Allen, a 5-time MVP and this budding superstar, and for Von Miller, albeit to say that about his current teammate, and there is going to be some bias there, but for him to put him in that lofty of a situation just speaks volumes, I think, to the season that Josh Allen is having. We all know Von Miller can be a little bit hyperbolic at times, but in the same vein, he's really seen it all in the NFL. And if there's anybody who knows greatness, it is Von Miller, a future Hall of Famer himself. So hearing that from him really struck a chord with me. Also, Amari Cooper said he thought Allen already locked up MVP entering today's game, but really put a stamp on it with his performance against the Jets. And Sean McDermott reiterated it multiple times during his post-game press conference. He said simply, Josh Allen is the MVP, adding that he isn't sure how somebody in their right mind, I added the right mind part, could look at the season that Josh Allen is putting together and believe that another player out there is doing more. And I'm not sure that the voters take this into account, but if you also take into account what Josh Allen has done for this Bills franchise, he is the face of the franchise in every shape, way, and form. And I'm not saying Lamar Jackson and others haven't fulfilled that same type of role on their team, but it just seems to be different with Josh Allen. The way that he galvanizes his teammates, the support that he receives on a weekly basis. You heard Spencer Brown speak out about it this week to reporters, saying that he feels bad for what Josh Allen has to endure in terms of the constant controversy about how good is Josh Allen, is he the MVP, and dating back to his draft days. Should he have been drafted as high as he was? Has he satisfied his draft grade? So as the season comes to a close here, we're going to find out in due time who the MVP is. But in my opinion, for my money, it is Josh Allen. I've maintained it throughout the season. I'm not just switching this up late in the year. 3,731 passing yards on 63.8% completion, 28 passing touchdowns against just 6 interceptions, 531 rushing yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, and that receiving touchdown. Josh Allen is the MVP. There's no debate in my mind. But helping Josh Allen today record another solid performance, 2 exceptional touchdown grabs, one from Keon Coleman, one from Amari Cooper. Cooper surpassed the 10,000-yard mark for his career today. Went up and got one in the end zone, came down flat on his back. They had to check him for a head injury, but he was okay. Also, Keon Coleman went up and caught a nice ball, contested catch. And Josh Allen said after the game, it's exactly what we drafted 0 for, and he's spot on. Coleman had a tough start to this game, dropping a couple balls, still working his way back into the swing of things after being injured for several weeks a few weeks ago. So it was good to see Coleman rebound after a tough start with that big catch going up to get it. And then Mac Hollins, another one who I think embodies this everybody eats mentality. There were jokes made about Mac Hollins at the beginning of the season, and those jokes continue to be made with his bare foot and his presence on social media and all the goofiness surrounding him. But this guy is a player. This guy is the best depth receiver that the Bills have had in many years, and he made a number of good catches today, especially early in the game, going down and grabbing one to keep a drive alive. Everybody continues to eat in this offense. A great sign with the playoffs approaching. And before we get to the running game, let us first thank our sponsor, Forefathers Organics in Dansville. At Forefathers Organics, their mission is to liberate, educate, and innovate with the highest quality CBD and hemp-derived products for your mind, body, and soul so you can live happy and free. Visit them at 87 Franklin Street in Dansville, online at forefathersorganics.com, or call them at 585-335-2223 to learn more about the products they offer. All right, on top of what we saw from the passing game today, James Cook continued his strong performance this season. Another rushing touchdown, pushing his season total to 15, one shy of the Bills' single-season record, which is held by held by O.J. Simpson. I think I wrote in my story that it was Thurman Thomas. Let me check on that, actually. I'll check on that as we go here. Poor research on my part. I had a couple stories right in the podcast. Bills career single season rushing touchdown. This is good radio, huh? Or good podcasting. Touchdown record. O.J. Simpson with 16. So I was incorrect in my initial research, but glad I caught that on the podcast. The Bills now have 2 players with over 10 rushing touchdowns this season. So not only has that everybody eats mentality worked wonders in the passing game, but it has also worked wonders in the running game. And that introduction of the run-pass balance is something this team has been missing for quite some time. And you got to give Joe Brady a lot of credit. But the unsung hero here is Aaron Kromer and the Bills' offensive line. Once again, this group has remained healthy throughout the season, and it's helped produce a number of incredible performances from runners on the Bills roster. And to have 2 players go over 10 rushing touchdowns with what this team has experienced in terms of the running game over the past several seasons, just a revelation for this team this year. And you have to be impressed with what Aaron Kromer, the Bills offensive line, James Cook and company have done out of the backfield this year. And speaking of that offensive line, Deion Dawkins entering today's game wearing his own jersey. Guy is just one of a kind. He's been interviewed in his own T-shirt before, wearing his own jersey today. Deion Dawkins cannot be stopped. He is my man of the year. So outside of the offense, we'll move to the defense now. Outside of Allen's continued push for MVP, really the story of this game was the defensive performance, particularly the effort put forth by Greg Rousseau. A sack, a tipped pass, and a fourth down stop in this game. Rousseau just played like a menace throughout this game, and Sean McDermott said it after the game. He is their best defensive player, and in order for the Bills to play well defensively, they need Rousseau to play well. And he's played well more often than not this season, but they need more impactful performances, such as we saw today. He had gone a couple weeks, I believe, without a sack, but he rebounds with one this week in a huge performance. He's continued to put the pressure on quarterbacks throughout the season, but I think it's big for this team to finish with those sacks. You could see it really get the ball rolling today. A.J. Epinesa with a sack that turned into a safety. Von Miller a sack. Ed Oliver a sack. Really the top four pass rushers for this team, all coming away with sacks today, of Aaron Rodgers, who became the most sacked quarterback in NFL history. So a good sign there for the pass rush as well, as that struggled in recent weeks. And I asked Von Miller after the game what was working for them today, and he made an interesting comment, said that opposing passers' time to throw has been very quick in recent weeks, and he thinks that's tamped down the impact of the Bills' pass rush. But he thought today Aaron Rodgers held on to the ball a little bit longer, and that allowed the Bills to get home and bring him down for 4 sacks throughout today's game. So more than that, we also talked to Christian Benford after the game, and it's really been a hot topic throughout the season and dating back to when Sean McDermott came here. The pass rush and the coverage working together, and that hasn't always been the case this season, but it certainly was today. We mentioned the pass rush, but the secondary getting some reinforcements back. Taylor Rapp re-entering the lineup. Rasul Douglas re-entering the lineup. Cam Lewis was back today, and Christian Benford just continues his fine performance this season. He almost came away with 2 interceptions, but he did indeed come away with 1. He has turned into just an incredible lockdown corner for this team, and he may not earn All-Pro status this season, but what he is doing this year is setting that stage for years to come for him to be in that conversation year after year if he can continue this performance into his future. And who can forget the other interception of the day? Jordan Phillips, his second interception of his career, the big man pick on the great tip from Rousseau. And then Phillips just went down, hit the turf. Smart move, self-preservation for a big man. We all remember a few years ago him sprinting after the opposing player, pulling his hamstring. Instead, he saved his energy and instead elected to sprint and jump into the stands and celebrate with Bills Mafia with his teammates following behind him. Just another great moment throughout this season, and just another moment for a fan favorite and a favorite within that locker room, somebody who plays on really a part-time basis, but comes through with a big play here today off the tip from Rousseau. So we've mentioned the defense, nothing really to write home about on special teams. So let's get into the Jets. I think that's the last real topic here on this podcast. The Jets are an embarrassment. They have been for a decade plus. They have the longest playoff drought, I believe, in sports, at the very least in the NFL. And with all the hype surrounding this team entering this season, as somebody who kind of detracted from that hype and didn't really believe it, certainly satisfying to see the way that things have transpired for the Jets this season, particularly when your quarterback is Aaron Rodgers, somebody as easy to root against as he is. Jets finished with less than 300 yards, average a measly 4.9 yards per play in this game. They go 0 of 9 or 4 of 9 on third down, 0 of 1 in the first half. Rodgers throws 2 interceptions. He's sacked 3 times. Garrett Wilson loses a fumble. Just a historical failure for the Jets this season. And today's game was really a microcosm of it all. A failed experiment to the highest level with a con man at the head of the snake in Aaron Rodgers. Whatever unlucky fan base is unfortunate enough to be forced to endure his services next season. Good luck. It couldn't be a worse situation for who's ever going to get Rodgers next year. Who knows? Maybe he stays in New York. I think that might be his only option after watching this season. I'm not sure what team would want him. And I'm not sure what teammate would want to play alongside him. We saw rumors before the game that Garrett Wilson may force his way out of New York if Rodgers is indeed back as the starting quarterback in 2025. I think the only player on the Jets that really could say he enjoys playing with Aaron Rodgers is Devontae Adams, who gets force-fed the ball every week to the tune of 10 to 12 targets. Ever since he entered the fold, he stopped throwing to Garrett Wilson, and I'm sure that's what's led to Garrett Wilson's discontent this season. And as Mexico Marty says, the entire William Attar team standing by for any fans impacted by Jordan Phillips' leap into the stands. That is like a car wreck, a big man like that hopping into the stands. But back to the Jets, just not much more that can be said. Just a complete disaster for this team this year. But really, what else is new? When you're owned by an owner like Woody Johnson, things like this are bound to happen. And I'm not going to lie, I do not feel bad for Jets fans. The way that they were spouting off before this season even started, I think they deserve everything that is coming to them. Before we get out of here, we'll take a look at next week. But before we do that, we will first, once again, thank our sponsor at Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, so the Bills clinched the number 2 seed. They have nothing left to play for next week against the Patriots. The easy move here is to rest the starters. Sean McDermott has not announced whether or not he will do so, but I would be shocked if he doesn't sit Josh Allen and others. Josh Allen may see a series. He does have a consecutive start streak that he may want to keep alive, maybe get him out there for a series and then pull him just after handing the ball off a few times. But I think players like Von Miller, Matt Milano, maybe even Amari Cooper and others will see the complete week off and rest up in preparation for the postseason, which starts the week following. It'll be interesting to follow next week's action to see who the Bills will end up playing. If the Broncos win, they will make the playoffs. If they lose, the Bengals will still have a chance to make the playoffs. Now, I think the Colts have been eliminated with a loss today. I'll have to check on that, but going to be a lot to follow this coming week in terms of who the Bills are going to face in their first postseason game, but not anything left to be decided for Buffalo as they head into a pseudo bye week before beginning their run in the postseason. As I said before, AJ no longer with us on the podcast. He'll be no longer with us at the Daily News in a few weeks as he heads back to college to study childhood education. We've appreciated his services all season long. It will be sad to see him go, but as I said to lead off this podcast, the show must go on. And shout out to Ryan Clark. Therapy is a good thing, my friend. You might want to give it a try. We'll see you next time.